The Galactic Consortium was a massive alliance of alien species, each one technologically advanced, and, in their own ways, culturally distinct. For all their differences, though, one thing bound them together: a shared belief that strength was paramount. And in that regard, humans, with their sentimental attachments to cute animals, were seen as laughably weak. While most species in the consortium boasted ferocious war beasts, massive, terrifying creatures bred for hunting, combat, or protection, humans seemed to prefer their soft, cuddly companions like dogs and cats. To the aliens, these creatures were nothing more than trivial amusements, incapable of surviving in the dangerous worlds they hailed from. The consortium's council meetings were often the stage for interspecies diplomacy, but for Ben, Earth's representative, they had become a minefield of mockery. The day he tried to introduce the human concept of pets, companionship animals, was no different. As Ben stood before the council, explaining the mutual bond between humans and their pets, the reactions from the aliens were predictable: sneers, scoffs, and condescending laughter. The idea of keeping an animal for anything other than warfare or utility was absurd to them. Kthar, a hulking alien general whose species prided itself on its massive war beasts, was the first to speak up. His voice boomed across the chamber, dripping with disdain. "Humans and their little pets. Do you truly think these fluffballs could survive in the harsh environments of the universe? They wouldn't last a minute on my world." His words were met with laughter from the other council members. Ben remained calm, though inwardly, frustration simmered. He knew they didn't understand the human bond with animals, nor the strength that sometimes lay beneath their unassuming appearances. But that didn't make the ridicule any easier to bear. Kthar, seeing Ben's silence as weakness, pressed further. "You humans wouldn't understand real animals. Your pets wouldn't know what to do if faced with a creature of true power, of true ferocity." Ben held his ground, but he knew that words alone wouldn't be enough to change their minds. The aliens in the consortium were conditioned to believe that only size and physical dominance mattered. The concept of an animal serving a purpose beyond brute strength was laughable to them. In the days that followed the meeting, the mockery only intensified. Conversations about Earth's animals became a running joke among the council members. Ben couldn't walk through the halls of the consortium without overhearing remarks about his useless pets. Kthar, in particular, took every opportunity to throw jabs at him, each more humiliating than the last. "Perhaps you should bring one of your Earth pets to our next council meeting," he said mockingly one day, to the amusement of his entourage. "We could all use a little entertainment." Ben began to realize that the aliens didn't just see humans as weak because of their choice of animals. They saw them as foolish, incapable of understanding the harsh realities of the universe. To them, humans were sentimental to the point of stupidity, and it reflected in their choice of companions. But that perception was about to change. After one particularly humiliating encounter with Kthar, Ben had enough. He resolved to prove that humans, and the animals they cared for, were not to be underestimated. But he also knew he couldn't do it with words. Words would never convince them. He needed to show them something real, something that embodied the resilience and ferocity they so revered, but in a way they wouldn't expect. That's when the idea struck him. If the consortium respected power, he would show them a creature from Earth that had it in spades. Not one of Earth's traditionally intimidating animals like a lion or a bear. Those wouldn't surprise the aliens. No, Ben would bring back something small, something deceptively fierce, something that would defy every assumption they had about human pets. The more he thought about it, the more his plan took shape. He knew just the animal to bring back, a creature known for its toughness, its fearlessness, and its relentless nature. It was small, sure, but it was also one of the most dangerous creatures on Earth. A honey badger. Ben wasted no time. He secured the necessary permissions to return to Earth, and as he prepared to leave, the aliens' jeers followed him down the corridors. They were convinced he was running away in shame, defeated by their mockery. But Ben had a different plan. As he boarded his ship, he couldn't help but smirk to himself. He had one parting message for them. "We'll see what you think after you meet my next companion." He left the consortium behind with purpose, his mind set on one goal, changing their perception of what it meant to be strong. By the time he returned, they would understand that strength didn't always come in the form of massive, terrifying beasts. Sometimes it came in a smaller, scrappier package. And with that, Ben departed, leaving the consortium to wonder what, if anything, would change when he returned. They had no idea what was coming. A few weeks later, Ben returns to the Galactic Consortium. This time, instead of a soft, cuddly pet like a cat or dog, he brings something unexpected, a small cage holding an unassuming creature. The honey badger, nestled within, paces restlessly, its sharp eyes scanning its surroundings. The gathered aliens, many of whom had mocked Ben before, glance curiously at the creature. They aren't impressed. To them, it looks like yet another cute Earth animal, though perhaps a bit scruffier than the others they've seen. Kthar, the alien general, sneers openly, his towering frame casting a shadow over the small cage. "Is this what you've returned with, human? A toy? My war beast could crush that thing in a heartbeat." Ben, unfazed by the taunts, stands with quiet confidence. "This is no ordinary creature," he says calmly. "It may be small, but it embodies fearlessness and ferocity in a way none of you have seen." The aliens exchange glances, smirking at what they perceive as another ridiculous human exaggeration. They dismiss his words, unable to believe that something so small could pose any real threat. Kthar, eager to prove his superiority once again, steps forward, laughing. "A demonstration, then? Let's see if your fearless pet can stand against a real beast." Ben's expression remains neutral as he watches Kthar release his massive war beast from its restraints. The creature towers over everyone, its thick, scaled armor glinting in the artificial light, its fangs bared in anticipation of an easy victory. The war beast was bred for combat, and no one had ever seen it lose. Ben takes a deep breath, then slowly opens the honey badger's cage. The small animal steps out cautiously, sniffing the air, sizing up its new environment. It stands its ground, showing no sign of fear despite the monstrous opponent looming over it. The aliens watch in silence, expecting the honey badger to either flee or be instantly crushed under the weight of Kthar's beast. The war beast lets out a deafening roar, charging forward with the kind of terrifying speed that had once cowed entire battle-hardened species. The aliens hold their breath, waiting for the inevitable. But what happens next leaves them all in shock. The honey badger doesn't flinch. Instead, it launches itself at the oncoming war beast with startling aggression. In a blink, it's on the creature's face, clawing and biting with relentless fury. The war beast thrashes violently, trying to shake the honey badger off, but the smaller creature only tightens its grip, sinking its teeth into the beast's vulnerable spots. The council chamber erupts in gasps and murmurs of disbelief. The aliens had expected a one-sided battle, but instead, they witnessed the war beast, this massive, armored juggernaut, struggling to fend off something one-tenth its size. The honey badger's attacks are precise, savage, and unyielding. Each swipe of its claws, each bite from its powerful jaws, sends the war beast reeling, roaring in pain and confusion. Ben watches the chaos unfold with calm satisfaction. His honey badger's fearlessness and tenacity were exactly why he chose it for this demonstration. It wasn't about size or raw strength. It was about an indomitable will, a refusal to back down, no matter the odds. Kthar, who had been so smug moments before, now stands frozen in disbelief. His war beast, the pride of his species, is retreating, actually backing away from the tiny earth creature. The war beast snarls and swipes at the honey badger, but the attacks seem to barely faze it. The honey badger simply keeps going, relentless, its eyes burning with a primal intensity that shocks even the most hardened warriors in the room. As the war beast stumbles backward, the honey badger leaps down, pacing in front of the wounded creature, daring it to come at it again. But the war beast does nothing. It's beaten, humiliated. For the first time in its life, it has been bested, and by something so small it was barely worth noticing before. The room falls silent. The aliens, many of whom had laughed at Ben and his attachment to Earth's animals, now stare in awe at the honey badger. They had expected a joke, a novelty at best. Instead, they were witnessing a level of ferocity and resilience that they hadn't believed possible. Ben steps forward, his voice steady. You see, it's not about size or brute strength. It's about heart. This creature embodies everything you thought was weak about humans. Small? Sure. But it's not afraid to stand up to something bigger than itself. Just like us. Kthar's face is pale, his pride shattered. He looks down at his war beast, still cowering from the honey badger's assault, and then back at Ben. For the first time, he seems to understand. The human attachment to these creatures wasn't born out of naivety or sentimentality. It came from recognizing a strength that wasn't immediately obvious, a strength that came from within. The other aliens, too, are forced to reconsider their assumptions. They had seen humans as soft, their love for their pets as a sign of weakness. But now, they were beginning to see the truth. Humans had a resilience, a tenacity, that couldn't be measured by the same standards they applied to their war beasts. As the honey badger calmly returns to Ben's side, Kthar steps back, defeated not just by the animal, but by the realization that he had gravely underestimated both Ben and his species. Kthar's war beast, bleeding and limping in defeat, slinks away as the honey badger finally releases its iron grip. Completely unharmed and unfazed, the small creature calmly trots back to Ben, licking its claws as if it had just completed a routine task. The room, once filled with smugness and laughter, is now eerily silent. Ben stands composed, his expression calm, while Kthar looks visibly shaken, the shock and embarrassment clear on his face. He can barely comprehend what has just happened. The other alien council members, once dismissive of Ben and Earth's creatures, murmur among themselves, exchanging glances of surprise. They had grossly underestimated both Ben and the unassuming animal he had brought with him. The honey badger, a creature so small and seemingly insignificant, had revealed a ferocity they never expected. Its tenacity had torn through their preconceived notions, and by extension, the aliens realized that they'd been equally wrong about humans all along. No one laughs now. There's a palpable shift in the room's atmosphere. Kthar, his pride shattered, steps forward reluctantly. His voice is low, filled with reluctant respect. Perhaps there's more to human animals, and humans, than we thought, he admits. His tone carries the weight of his defeat, a public acknowledgement of the strength he had failed to recognize. The sneer and arrogance that once dripped from his words are now absent, replaced by a begrudging respect. The murmurs among the other aliens grow louder, but now the tone has changed. Where once they mocked, they are now curious, eager even. The questions start pouring in, but not with the usual dismissiveness. They genuinely want to know more. Are there more creatures like this on Earth? One alien asks, leaning forward with newfound interest. Ben, ever composed, nods. Earth is filled with creatures like the honey badger. Small, fierce, and resilient in their own ways. But it's not just about the animals. Humans, too, are a reflection of this. Our history is built on survival, not through brute strength alone, but through adaptation, determination, and the ability to stand up to challenges, no matter how impossible they seem. The room listens intently as Ben continues. Like the honey badger, humans can seem harmless or soft at first glance. But we're unpredictable. We endure. We push forward when others might give up. We might not always look the part of warriors, but we've learned to thrive in the harshest of conditions. The aliens exchange looks, some nodding in agreement, others still processing this new perspective. They had been so quick to judge based on appearance and preconceived notions, but now they are beginning to see the deeper truth. They realize that humans, and even the creatures they cherish, possess a hidden strength, a strength that doesn't always manifest in the ways they expect, but one that is no less formidable. One of the older council members, who had remained silent through much of the demonstration, speaks up. We have always valued strength here in the consortium, but perhaps we have been too narrow in our definition. Your honey badger has shown us that strength can come in many forms. It's not always about size or power. Sometimes it's about heart. Ben smiles slightly, appreciating the shift in the conversation. The lesson is finally sinking in. The aliens are seeing humans, and Earth's creatures, through a new lens. They are no longer viewed as weak, sentimental beings obsessed with cute pets. Instead, they are now recognized as resilient, unpredictable, and capable of facing the most daunting challenges with an inner strength that belies their appearance. As the meeting begins to wind down, the council members leave with a changed mindset. There is no longer the sneering superiority or dismissive laughter that had characterized their earlier interactions. Instead, there is a newfound respect for Ben, for humans, and for the unexpected ferocity that even the smallest Earth creatures can display. The honey badger has become the talk of the consortium, and Ben's message has taken root. Kthar, though still licking his wounds from the humiliation, walks past Ben as he leaves. He doesn't say much, but the look in his eyes has changed. It's not one of rivalry or disdain anymore, but of reluctant acknowledgement. "You've made your point, human," he mutters, before leaving without further confrontation. As the council members disperse, Ben takes a moment to reflect. It wasn't about proving humans were the most powerful or the strongest. It was about showing that strength comes in many forms, and that even the smallest, most unassuming creatures can hold within them a spirit that refuses to be broken. The honey badger, in its fierce and fearless way, had embodied the resilience of humanity itself. In the end, the moral is clear: never underestimate those who seem small, cute, or weak. Appearances can be deceiving, and true strength often lies beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Ben smiles as the honey badger curls up contentedly at his feet. Sometimes, the fiercest fighters come in the most unexpected forms, just like humans.